Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is VooDoo Val, and it is May the 4th. It's May the 4th. I'm pumped. I feel like I got this stream by default because why not? But I'm super excited. Also, I realized that I'm the guest, and I think that I just
I was like, you took my talking parts.
I'm so
host,
sorry.
If you're gonna do it, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry,
is the Star Wars
I'm on autopilot.
Literally an autopilot. You got the helmet to show that you're on autopilot too. But yes, as Val said, it is May the 4th. I'm so happy to be hosting Val because, as you all may know, she's pretty into Star Wars, and I myself am a Star Wars geek as well. I grew up with the movies. They're very dear and close to my childhood and heart, so I'm happy to be a part of this Sci-Fi Week extravaganza. And speaking of Sci-Fi Week, here's what we have in store for you all. As you can see, it is themed after a certain franchise that we all very much well know and love. So right now, I am live with VooDoo Val. Then we'll have the illustration challenge with Julia Vaca. And then afterwards, at 12 p.m., we're going to have Brady from Texture Labs, who's actually going to do some really cool propaganda posters themed after Star Wars. So stick around for that. Want to say hello to the chat. Oh, man, we got all the friends in here. Look at this chat blowing up. We got Robert, RB, Umacorn, Apura, Gareth, Sean, General Kenobi. Very fitting for you to be in the chat, my friends. Wondering where you're going to be. Hello there. Anthony Jackson, Stoney, Clever. Wow, we got everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I am in the mountainside. Val is obviously in a Sith Lord purple-themed dark ship. So she's tuning in from space.
I am on Exegol as we speak. I've got my Sith troopers.
Check that out.
You know, I had to represent with like a Sith t-shirt since I'm wearing Poe Dameron's helmet. But honestly, if they didn't want the bad guys to appreciate Poe's helmet, they shouldn't have made it black and red. That's you know,
it's a little confusing, isn't it?
It's very confusing.
Poe Dameron's helmet, which is in the new movies.
Yes.
He's an ace fighter pilot, but it is a little confusing with that color scheme.
And he still wears like the orange jumpsuit with the white vest and then just this. So it's like, you're sending me mixed signals here, Poe, and I appreciate it, but I'm just very confused. I don't know what to do. But yeah, I'm super pumped. This is gonna be so fun.
I'm super pumped too. This is a sci-fi themed week. Like I said, I'm geeking out over here, just watching all the Star Wars themed content. It's awesome. It's amazing. We had Jay yesterday, who has actually worked on concept arts on the movies, the prequels. So very fun week that we have. Without further ado, Val, let us know what is in store for today. And in case people may not know you, why don't you give a super quick, like 1-minute elevator pitch of who you are and maybe just show some of your work. I assume most of the community already knows you because Val is very close to the Adobe Live family. She streams a lot for us. But in case people may not know you, let's give them a real quick TLDR of who you are.
All right, so my name is VooDoo Val. I am predominantly an illustrator. I love to paint characters, portraits specifically. I like to design monsters and write stories and stuff like that. I'm gonna pull up my Star Wars stuff on Behance just so you folks can see a little bit of my work.
There it is. Check that out.
Yeah, so I'll focus on Star Wars for today because I feel like it's on theme. But I do a lot of Star Wars fan art. I had the wonderful pleasure of being able to do a painting of Captain Phasma, which was displayed at the red carpet premiere of The Last Jedi. Got a picture of her on the red carpet where all of the fan art and stuff was displayed, which is really, really cool. But yeah, I do a lot of portraits. I'm a fan of the dark side. I don't know if you can tell. There's a lot of bad guys in this project. Yeah, there's a lot. Obviously, there's a 3PO because he's a precious, sweet baby bean. But everybody else is just not great. Even the Luke Skywalker is terrifying because why not?
Check that out.
But I love painting portraits. I love designing monsters, writing stories. Anything that's like science fiction or dark fantasy is kind of my jam. I also do some graphic design. You may recognize me as one of the instructors here on Adobe Live for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges. I've done some Creative Cloud Express streams and stuff like that, but mostly my bread and butter is painting in Photoshop. And for today,
I gotta ask.
Favorite
Dark Lord character, go real quick.
I think honestly my favorite like Sith character is probably Darth Revan, but my favorite Star Wars character like of all time is Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn he's not a Force user. He is just really, really, really smart. And I just really enjoy his story, especially now that there's new books coming out. I think he's going to be in the next season of The Mandalorian. So I'm kind of losing my mind over that. And yeah, he's my favorite. He's very fancy. He's got great eyes, better eyebrows. You know, it's just, he's cool.
Those
he's
are good eyebrows.
Cool. Yeah, he's pretty fancy.
Very polished.
But yeah. So let me know in the chat who is your favorite Star Wars character. I gotta know. I want to know who your favorite character is and why. And I will judge harshly. That's just a symptom of the day today. But yeah, welcome in, folks. And I'm gonna let you know what we're gonna be getting into for today. So I am gonna do 3 tribute pieces to each of the Star Wars trilogies. So we're gonna be working on illustrations today. And each illustration will be something that we will use tomorrow to put together some cool posters and things like that. We might get into a little bit of animation maybe tomorrow if we have some time. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a tribute postcard to Tatooine. Because
That's so
obviously Tatooine, I actually need to double check that Tatooine has one like a double T in the middle there or just one. I'm pretty sure it's 2. Yeah, it's, I think you have it right. Only one. So I'm gonna have to change the spelling again.
Right, 1 T 2 O's.
So yeah. I am an illustrator, not queen of the spelling bee. So this is gonna happen a lot. That's just what happens. But yeah, we're gonna do a little landscape painting for Tatooine. We're going to paint a Viper Pro droid because we're gonna do like a funny kind of diagram poster of the probe droid, and then we are going to illustrate the Sith Wayfinder from the newer films, which I'm pretty pumped about. So I've got my sketches prepared, and I think I'm actually going to begin with the Wayfinder just because it's a simple shape compared to a lot of the stuff we're doing, and I think I can get through it pretty quickly. So I'm going to turn my opacity down on this layer, and I am going to get to work.
Let's do it. In the meantime, I'm going to see what the chat is saying. We got a lot of comments. General Kenobi does have to ask, and I think it's a very important question.
Okay.
Have you heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Yes, I have. Very wise guy, very smart, very old, smart. Little funny looking, but hey, when you're that old, I don't think that you can get away from that. I'm checking the chat too, and I see a lot of love for Mace Windu. Honestly, me
Mace
too.
Windu's good.
Yeah, same, because of Samuel L. Jackson, I can have a purple lightsaber if I so choose. So
yeah,
mad respect for that.
I do think he's got probably one of the coolest lightsabers that they designed.
He really does.
So if you look at the hilt, I think it's one of the cooler designs that they've done. And it's kind of cool how he got the purple lightsaber because, like I said, I used to watch these kids religiously as a kid, and I would watch the behind the scenes with my brother. And I'm pretty sure George Lucas was talking to him, and then he was like, "Can I have a purple lightsaber?" And he's like, "I don't know, maybe." And he's like, "Wait, really?" I was kind of joking, but yeah, they gave him a purple lightsaber just by him asking.
I believe he said, George was like, well, good guys have green and blue and bad guys have red. And Samuel L. just kind of looked at him like I'm Samuel L. Jackson, it's gonna be purple. And he was like, are you sure? And he just asked again, and George was like, we'll see.
And he did it.
Yeah. There is a little bit of lore behind the reasoning for it. And I feel like they had to create lore so that he could have his purple lightsaber. And part of that is Mace Windu is very unique in that he uses a particular kind of force technique that includes I guess it includes dark side energy. And so he has a little red tint to his lightsaber. I believe it's called Feypad, and it's like using like dark energy and dark force against your opponent that they give to you. So it's not, I don't believe like he's dark and so he uses the dark side. I believe he kind of like, I'm rubber, you're glue. Anything you say to me sticks to you.
Yeah.
So kind of cool, you know. There's a little bit of fancy lore there. So they're like, oh, okay. So he had a blue lightsaber and it's got a bit of red in it, so it's purple.
Gabriel's saying he uses Vapad. I don't even know how to pronounce that. So he knows the lore. That's pretty cool.
Got some Star Wars fans in the chat.
Yeah. We got some other people in the chat saying Stoney loved the Ewoks. Rob says his dog has an Ewok costume. That's amazing. Can you imagine just a little fluff ball running around with an Ewok costume? Which is
just an Ewok, but I appreciate that it would be even smaller than an Ewok. I love it. All right, so I just like kind of made myself a shape. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start carving like these planes into this shape. I think I'm actually going to turn the opacity up, and I'm going to Control U or Command U if you're using a Mac, and I'm just going to make this gray and then bump it down slightly so I can still see my sketch through. Or actually, I could put my sketch on top and work underneath it, which is probably better because I want to make sure that I just have the opacity up totally. And what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to build out these shapes, and then I'm going to go in with some clipping masks and I'm going to paint the shapes, is kind of the deal here. And after I paint these shapes in, I am going to get a little more detailed and like make this look super cool. This is like one of the coolest artifacts that came out of the new film, so gotta show it some love and gotta make it look awesome, you know.
Does anybody know what movie it was featured in? Because I think it was first introduced in one film, right? I mean, I already know the answer, but let's see if the chat knows.
I'm gonna
this was a new
myself from all Star Wars trivia. I feel like I have to.
You have to, yeah. I feel like I know a good amount, but I think you know a little more on the lore side than me. I just watched the movies. I don't really read anything outside of that. But I feel like the series, the new shows that they're coming out with, are paying good justice to the expanded universe, which I think
they're doing a pretty good job. They're doing a pretty awesome job. I would love to know if anyone has like a favorite new show or like what your favorite movie is, and why, because there's a lot of content out right now. In the last several years, it's kind of like just Star Wars has kind of exploded, and so there's just like something for everybody now, which is just crazy and awesome. Where at first all we had was books and comics, now we have everything. There's a lot
going on. I think Gabriel nailed it. Sith Wayfinder episode 9. Yes, Rise of the Skywalker. I think Gabriel knows his Star Wars pretty well. Seems like it.
I feel like I have attracted a lot of like minds to these streams. Like I'm surprised constantly when I'm nerding out about Star Wars and I'm thinking to myself, I'm moderating right now. I should probably not do this. But the chat is also nerding out about Star Wars. To it. They're picking up what I'm putting down. I'm not alone.
They're picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. I'm also, for anyone who's wondering how I'm like cleaning up these lines, even though I'm painting, I'm just holding shift. So I'm tapping and then I hold shift and then I tap where I want the line to terminate. and it kind of draws a nice straight line for me. So I do use like my polygonal lasso tool a lot when I am designing, but sometimes it's just like a lot of steps and it's a lot of work when I really just want to be painting. And so this gives me the opportunity, if I don't want to use the shape tool or use the pen tool or anything like that, I can just literally take the time to paint it, and I just have like a nice ruler of sorts, I guess, without having to break out the other tools. So it's good fun.
Nice. There's some shade being thrown in the chat.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah, we have Garrett saying the Christmas special is the best.
Yeah, Garrett needs
Steve
to be
is saying
banned.
VooDoo Val loves the Xmas special. Funny story about that. I actually just kind of skimmed through it this morning. It's on the top page of Reddit, and I was like, oh, I've never seen this, and I didn't watch all of it, but I just kind of skimmed through it, and I'm like, this is something else.
They paid
like,
them
how
for
on
that.
earth did this air?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
It's something special. It literally. Like I would say go and watch it just to see like how did this ever get greenlit.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, there's a part where like some Wookiee puts on like some VR headset and there's like this transcendental trippy sequence with some art. Man, it went off the rails.
It's not great.
Yeah,
it
was entertaining in its own special way. But yes, I can totally see. Yeah, I can see how people just, have collectively agreed we just don't really acknowledge his existence.
It's worse than Fight Club. It's not like Fight Club still, Fight Club still happens. You just don't talk. No, I love talking Fight Club. I just mean the rules of Fight Club.
Yeah,
like you don't talk about Fight Club. At least Fight Club still exists and you just don't talk about it. This we don't talk about and we try to forget it ever happened. The
first thing about the Xmas special is you don't talk about the Xmas special.
Yeah, exactly. Second rule of the Xmas special is you don't tell people about it on a live stream, so they'll look it up and bring it back into existence, Paco. That's
it's gonna get its cult following. Hey, I didn't bring it up. The chat brought it up.
That's true. All right.
My job is to read the chat, so I'm paying them justice. But yes, I agree. It's something else. It is something else.
I've been harassed by Steve on multiple occasions, specifically about the Star Wars special, and it hurts, man. I thought we were friends. It hurts. it's difficult. I see Stoney talking about the Bad Batch. So the Bad Batch is awesome. I have not finished the show yet, but I highly recommend the Bad Batch. I think it's really excellent what they've done. I think that not only is it a great story with great characters, but I feel like it's also just, it takes people who are not, maybe in other stories would not be considered able-bodied, like people who have physical disabilities and like these illnesses and things that maybe kids who are watching this show might not feel like, if they have these things, that they can't be the hero. And it takes a huge cast of people and makes them the coolest people in the galaxy. So the Bad Batch is literally, it's like a reference to the clones that were created with defects, and how even though they're not exactly the same as all of the perfect clones, they still have their own strengths and their own awesome features, and they use what you might assume is a weakness and turn it into their greatest superpower. So it's super cool. Amazing. It's an awesome story.
I've heard of the Bad Batch. I've never watched it. Again, I haven't really watched anything outside of the movies. But I do love that premise. That seems pretty darn cool. Yeah.
And they're some of the coolest characters that I've seen in Star Wars. And I feel like they've done a super cool. So I watched the animated series, and they have a whole arc about the Bad Batch and how one of the main characters from the show ends up being inducted into the Bad Batch after he is wounded and feels like he can't fight with his brothers anymore, and the Bad Batch is like, nah, dog, we got you.
You good?
come over here.
The water's just fine.
Yeah. So he joins the Bad Batch, and then now they have a show about their adventures, and let me tell you, these guys are rowdy. They're very rowdy.
Rowdy bunch.
Yeah, super rowdy bunch. Very cool dudes. All right, so
cool.
I've got.
So what are we doing? What are we doing here?
I
What's
am
next
just
with
kind
the
of
Wayfinder?
Kind of doing these, like just shading the edges and like making this, kind of bringing it into 3D space a little bit so that it's not flat. I'm gonna do just a tiny bit more over here on this end, just to bring this out over here, just to give it like a little lip underneath here. But after that, we're gonna get into painting. So just kind of trying to really carve this out into an item, you know, something that looks like it is 3D and not a flat design, because I want to illustrate it. And I'm doing some hard lines here, and I am going to end up softening these with like a textured brush, maybe something like this. Let me get something softer than that. In fact, actually, I might do my handy dandy noise brush technique, which is I grab a soft round opacity brush and I just turn the mode to dissolve. And I feel like a lot of people don't use the dissolve brush mode, but it's one of my favorite things. I love it. And it just, like, if I zoom in here, it literally just makes your soft round brush into like a noise brush, and you can paint with noise. And I love it.
It's literally a noise brush. I like it.
It's literally a noise brush. And I love to use it because I spend a lot of time creating noise textures from scratch, and or finding noise textures online that will suit my purposes, and overlaying stuff. And then I always end up feeling like it's lacking a little bit. Like I always end up feeling like I've put the texture here, but if I change my mind about a certain portion of the design, then I have to go back and I have to paint those corrections in or edit those corrections, and then I have to reorient the texture, the image texture that I placed in there, and I can't, you know, it's just hard to change. But with this, I literally have the ability to paint in any bit of noise that I see fit at will. And as an illustrator, it might not work for everybody, but as somebody who loves to paint, and painting is like my main thing, it's nice just to have that control, right? To paint it in rather than work with the textures. So
yeah, and even adding those simple strokes is really giving a lot more depth to this Sith Wayfinder. That's crazy. Yeah. Just these different shadings of gray that you're using are really selling this 3D effect. So pretty cool, folks.
I feel like I could probably spend a little more time like really making it slightly more accurate, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of drop in what I need to get the illustration across, and paint most of it for today. And then I expect that between today and tomorrow, I will, you know, kind of do a little cleaning up and making things a little bit more accurate for the next part of it tomorrow. However, if I do end up working on some things between now and tomorrow, when we begin, I will go over the techniques and any little things that I changed during the break. Because one thing that I do like to do for all of you folks, if I ever do any work between streams, is to, you know, show you the changes, but also like show you how I did it, so that if you are following along with me, you don't miss any steps. Right. Because I want you to be able to watch how I'm doing things, and if you want to repurpose these techniques for something of your own, you have the knowledge to do that. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm noticing you're the shortcut master here in Photoshop. Yeah, I mean, I think shortcuts are one of those things using Adobe apps. If you're really using these day in, day out, and you're doing the same task over and over, trust me, folks, learn that shortcut. And I read some crazy stat where, like, say it shaves off like a second. Might not sound like a lot, but if you're living in these apps, which a lot of creative professionals do, and you're just hitting that shortcut over and over and over, say, you know, it accumulates to like a minute and a half in a day. Multiply that by like 5-6 days a week over years, it could shave off hours.
Yeah,
I
will tell you honestly, when I started using shortcuts, it cut my production time in half.
Yeah, but then you still bill for the same amount, so it's a win-win.
There you go.
Boom.
Fancy. No, but really, it cut my work time in half. And what I did was I'm sure we could get a link in the chat. There's a really helpful link that Adobe has out that just goes over all of the shortcuts and everything that you can do in Photoshop. It just goes over all of the hotkeys. And I printed it out. And
Smart.
I put it, taped it to the wall behind my monitor so that I could look at it constantly. And then I also made another list that I put next to it, and it was a list of all the short keys for the tools that I use most often. So there are a lot of hotkeys that I don't have memorized, that I don't know, but because I focus on what am I going to use the most and what is going to be the best for my personal workflow. And that's what I did. And you can also, if I come up here to edit and scroll down to the bottom here, you can go to keyboard shortcuts, and I've also customized some. So I went to image and I scrolled down to, I should have, flip canvas horizontal. So I routed flip canvas horizontal to Control-Shift-A. Because if I do Control-Shift-A, it'll flip it for me. And this is a really great thing to do when you illustrate or design, because sometimes if you've ever like been looking at your painting and you're like, there's something that's not quite right about this, and I don't know exactly what it is, I can't put my finger on it. It's usually that something is slightly off in your piece, either the maybe the perspective, or just something is weird, but you can't see it because you've been staring at your piece for so long. You can't really pick it out because it started to look so familiar to you. Flipping your canvas horizontal is like an expedited version of taking a break from your piece. All of a sudden, you see the piece in a totally new orientation and a totally different light, and you can pick out, very often, you can pick out the issue that you were noticing but couldn't quite put your finger on. You can pick it out immediately, just looking at it in a different orientation. So I have that routed for all of you illustrators and painters out there. That is a huge tip that I suggest you employ because it will help. Aside from learning the hotkeys, really, really good idea to do that.
That's a very good pro tip. When in doubt, flip it.
Yep.
Kenobia's pretty smart. He says when we're talking about cutting time in half, he goes, it's cut like Darth Maul in half. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Let it flow through you, y'all. I love it. All right, so I've got the Wayfinder painted in here. I'm gonna, oops, I don't want that. What I want is actually, I've got a conundrum here, and that is that I'm using clipping masks to clip all of this stuff to this, but I have painted this in. Where is this? Okay, another really good tip. So you can hold Control and you can click things, and you can see in my layers panel that it selects the layer of whatever it is that I just tapped. The thing is, sometimes you have layers that are on a lower opacity, so you can see things through it, and you go to click something, because I'm trying to click the solid color of this shape, and when I click it, it selects the sketch layer that's over top of it. But if I want to, I can hold Control and do a left click, or I'm just tapping on my stylus, but I believe it's a left. No, it's a right click. I just did it with my mouse to double check. It will actually show you a list of all of the layers that are directly under your cursor. So I can cycle through. I think what I'm going to do,
are you using
actually,
a Wacom off-screen, Val?
Yeah, I'm using a Wacom Cintiq. So I have the display screen where I can look down at my screen and paint.
Nice.
So it's this layer here, the shape that everything's clipped to, and I don't want to turn the opacity down or alter that at all, because then it will change these masks that are clipped to it. So what I'm going to do is lock transparency, and I'm going to paint directly onto this layer with my green, and I should be able to there's something else that's barring me from this.
Clipping mask for the win.
Yeah.
General Kenobi's cracking me up. He goes, try spinning the canvas. That's a good trick.
Listen.
Listen.
You can actually spin the canvas if you hit R on your keyboard. So there you go.
There you go.
I think, let me hide my sketch. I want to hide that.
Got a question from the chat whenever you're ready for it, Val.
Yeah, go for it.
Which version of Cintiq do you use / recommend?
I use the Wacom Cintiq 16 HD. However, this is an item that I purchased for myself after a lot of years of doing digital art. It is not something that is 100% necessary for you to have. I will never advocate for you spending tons of money in order to become a good artist. You can use a lot of different products. The pricier items like the Cintiq, where you can draw right on the screen, are really great, but it's not necessary in order to be successful. I have only really used Wacom products, so I can't really suggest other things other than that because I haven't tried it myself. But the Wacom Intuos Pro is really good. Aside from this Cintiq, every single design tablet, digital art tablet I've ever owned has been secondhand. I bought them from other people. I bought them on Craigslist. I bought them on eBay. I found somebody else who would sell me a used one for cheap, because save that money, y'all. And from what I can tell, they're pretty sturdy, because I was buying secondhand these tablets that were not new. They weren't even the previous season's model. Like, they're just old tablets. And I've been very pleased with my Wacom products. So I recommend Wacom, but don't break the bank spending tons of money on expensive tools, because expensive tools don't make you a better artist. They make creating art more convenient. What makes you a better artist is following that passion, putting in the time, making time to practice every day, and put an effort into your skill and your trade.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially, I mean, it's pretty true for most disciplines too, right? Like if you're doing photography, videography, don't let the equipment be an excuse to not do it, right?
Yeah. So
definitely start doing it with the tools that you have. And the cool thing about these things is the more you do it, the more you can make educated decisions on what gear to buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you find yourself brushing a lot, or your pen, or you feel like your hand just needs something a little more ergonomic, then you can be able to justify buying a Cintiq. Like Val said, you could do it secondhand and save even more money.
Yep. And I think I fell into that trap for a while. And that was like, I did it not even just with art tools and stuff. I did it when I first started streaming. I thought that if I was going to be a streamer, that I needed to have like this crazy setup. I needed to have like the trendy influencer setup with the lights and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff is cool. And I have those things now. But I don't think that you need to spend a ton of money to be a digital artist, to be an online content creator and all this stuff right off the bat, right when you get started. What you should do is save your money so you have money to fund that creative passion that you have, and all of those fancy things that you want, that you aspire to have, like the people you admire who are doing this job. That stuff comes along the way. It comes over time as you start to become more successful, as you build your brand and everything. So don't do what I did and worry that if you don't have them, then you are somehow worth less. Right. It's simply not true.
Yeah, I have buddies that are trying to get into photo and video. They buy all the fancy gear, and video and photo gear is not cheap, people.
It's not.
And then they just find out that they don't even want to do it. I'm like, dude, you just bought so much gear, and like I said, make sure you want to do it first and fall in love with it first, and then you can justify the process.
Yeah.
All right, looking at the chat, this is pretty funny. Where do you go, Steven? Wacom are solid. If there's a nuclear war, all that will be left are Wacom tablets and cockroaches. That's pretty good, my friend.
You might not be wrong. You might not be wrong about that.
Might not be wrong.
Yeah.
And then Becca, who asked you about the Wacom, says that she's got the exact same one.
Oh, nice. So, awesome.
Twinsies.
Cool beans, Becca.
Becca's asking, what about spending money on art classes, tutorials instead?
I think that would be a great place to divert the money you might have spent on wildly expensive items. And that's the thing, is that like, you can have the world's greatest camera, and you can have like all of these things that make your setup look super cool and make you look cool in front of people and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have the knowledge to convey the art that you're trying to make, if you haven't honed that skill and put in that practice and all that stuff, it's like, what are you recording with all of these expensive things? So taking that money that you might have put into making yourself look super cool and putting it into something that can give you the knowledge and the skills necessary to design super cool so that you can make money to buy things that make you look super cool is a better route.
Oh yeah,
it's a way better route.
Way better route. All right, what are we doing here? I just saw you do some very cool trick with clipping these little Wi-Fi wave things into it.
So I'm designing like the designs that are on the side of the Wayfinder, and I just like made like a little, half circle drawing, and then I duplicated them and spread them out so it kind of looks like an echo design here. I'm not going to be super accurate with exactly what the Wayfinder designs look like. I'm just going to put some cool stuff on here. But if I pull up like a picture of the Wayfinder, there's some interesting designs. Like this is just a Google. Here you can see it's got, this, I think the actual Wayfinder has like these points on the corners and stuff, but I'm not really worried about it. I like,
Did you mean to bring it up? No,
yeah, I did.
Still seeing Photoshop.
Is it not?
There it is.
There you go. Okay. I didn't release the window. I still was holding the click on there.
Oh, that's
but yeah, you
cool.
You can see it. It has, there's some differences between the way I've illustrated it and the way that it appears in the movie, but I'm just kind of going with my own way here, and it's got these cool designs, and I think I can just kind of do my own thing. I think that anybody that knows what the Wayfinder is, when they see this illustration, they're going to be like, oh, that's the Wayfinder. So I feel like I'll be good.
And I did see you rasterize that. Why did you rasterize those lines?
I rasterized it because I accidentally made it a smart object when I meant to make it a group. I was just going to group it, and then I was going to flatten it, and I made it a smart object by accident. So I just rasterized it. I was just trying, because some of them were clipped and some of them were not. And when some layers are clipped and some not, sometimes you can't flatten a bunch of regular layers to it with those clipping masks in the stack. So I just was trying to group them all together so I could just flatten it, because I didn't really need for it to be organized the way it was organized, and I kind of ran into a hiccup there, but I fixed it. Yeah, and I didn't want to make it a smart object because I wanted to still be able to paint, and I didn't want to be rasterizing and converting to smart object or clicking into my smart objects and editing them that way. I want to just stay here, and while I'm still in this drawing phase, I'm not worried about, like, I'll make smart objects towards the end when I know I'm not going to change something. All right, what else do we have? We have more circles. So let's just draw a circle here. There we go. And let's go ahead and make an, oops. I want to actually do that on a separate layer.
Brendan says his AP art students are enjoying watching your technique, Val.
Oh, no way.
That's pretty cool. Got some AP art students in the house.
Welcome in. I'm super curious where, like, which school this is, and what are you guys working on in your class? If you don't mind revealing that information.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Brendan, let us know. Are you in session right now, showing your students this? If so, hi all.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. Happy May the 4th, and May the 4th be with you.
Happy May the 4th.
Yes.
I love how this has become the unofficial holiday.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, it's like it's not like officially recognized, but I mean,
but it's
is. It's I mean, yeah, like everybody pretty much knows it's May the 4th these days.
Yep.
So, and even so, cool story. My partner, who has never seen a Star Wars movie, which is crazy, the new Obi-Wan show's coming out, and I was like, hey, we got to get you prepared.
Get you up to speed. Yeah.
Because we're gonna be watching this at midnight when they release. So we've watched 9 movies within like the span of 2 weeks, and she actually really, really enjoys them.
Amazing.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
I love it.
She's a big fan of the prequels, which
okay.
I'm not gonna throw any shade on because I grew up on those, and you know it's actually very cool watching them. Very nostalgic. I haven't seen them in years.
Hey, they gave us Darth Maul. You know, they gave
us. She really liked the Phantom Menace, and I'm like, oh word.
Oh, word.
And then Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
I was like, word. Okay.
That's great. Well, I'm glad that she is into Star Wars and that she's been watching Star Wars, and that you guys are doing a marathon because that's how it should be. That's what everybody should be doing right now, and I approve. I hope that there are some nerds in the AP art class. Shout out to my nerds. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, Brendan just responded actually. They're saying we're in northern LA County. They're working on some random digital illustrations.
Okay, cool beans.
I like it. Well, thanks for tuning in, Brendan, and having your class tune in with us.
Yeah, I used to live in Culver City, so I think I know the area. Those are some of my old stomping grounds down there. Nice. All right, so I've got some little designs. I'm just gonna put some little circles because I don't want to take too much time. How much time do we have? We still have like.
We got about an hour and we got a little more than an hour.
Okay. All right.
Saya's asking, how do you do diagonal lines with the brush? I only know how to do horizontal and vertical lines.
So you can. Yeah, that's a great question. So you can hold shift and you can draw a line straight. Oops. You can draw a line straight across. You can also hold shift and you can draw a line down. But earlier I was like going through and drawing all of these other lines by holding shift and tapping. So if I tap here and then I tap over there, as long as I'm still holding the shift key down, it will draw a straight line. So I could tap here and I could tap here and I could continue to tap. And as long as I'm still holding down shift, it'll continue to make straight lines for me from the taps. It also, if you were using a brush that has like pressure sensitivity and opacity settings changed on it, the weight of the line that you create when you do these taps will also be dictated by how hard you tap. So keep that in mind. If you do this and you're like, why are these lines showing up where they're like maybe I can actually show you. Let me grab like what's a good one? I'll just do like this one. So if I tap like very lightly and then I hold shift and I tap hard, you can see it does that. Yeah.
It like tapers in.
Yes. So, or if I tap really hard and then I hold shift and I tap really light. Oh, well, maybe not. But you can see what I mean, like depending on the difference there. But if you want to tap, sometimes if it does that is I just like go over it a few times, or sometimes it doesn't matter because I'm making a sketch. But keep that in mind if you are using a brush with pressure sensitivity, that it will do that. But I'm using this Blanco brush that is like at 100% opacity in the brush settings itself, so I never have that problem. It just gives me a straight line, and I prefer to use it for stuff like this.
All right, where we're at with the Sith Wife Finder.
So I am adding just some little dots and things because that's one of the things that it has, and it's got like these little, it just kind of looks like just space map-ish kind of things is kind of the deal here. I think that's the plan, that's the gig, is we're just making like little circles and dots. If you folks want to look up the Sith Wayfinder so that you can examine an image of it yourselves, feel free. And I think you'll see that that's, you know, there's a lot of this sort of stuff, like little lines, little dots, little, you know, almost like points of interest and coordinate type things on the surface of it. So I'm just kind of doing that, just add in some little things. I'm peeking over at my reference because I've got my Google window open where I've just Googled the Wayfinder, and I'm doing not exactly what the Wayfinder looks like, but my own rendition, because it is a highly detailed object and I don't want to spend all day making it photo real and like movie accurate, which is a weird thing for a Star Wars fan to say. that I don't care about making it movie accurate. Yeah, we were just talking about this. But it's not really necessary. And like I said earlier, I think if you look at this and you're familiar with the Wayfinder, you'd be like, oh, that's the Wayfinder.
Yeah, I think the goal is someone can look at that and is pretty familiar with the Star Wars props. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's a Wayfinder. And boom, mission accomplished.
Works for me. I'm not picky today, which is also a weird thing for Star Wars fans to say. I'm not picky about Star Wars today. I don't know, man. It's getting crazy.
Never thought I'd heard those words come out of Val's mouth. I am not picky about Star Wars.
I'm not being picky about Star Wars
says
today. It's not that
Emperor
big a deal.
Valpatine.
Yes. Sith Lord Valpatine at your service, except not. I guess Sith Lords don't do what people tell them unless it's the guy that taught them how to be a Sith Lord. And that's not you, Paco. That's not you.
It's not me.
That's not you. I'm gonna kind of peek at the chat too a little bit. I haven't looked at it in a while. Any specific reason to use Photoshop here instead of Illustrator? I see this question a lot in the chat when I'm moderating for Adobe Live, is people asking why use Photoshop over Illustrator or Illustrator over Photoshop. And there's a lot of reasons why people would make the choice, but honestly, I think it comes down to, I just like Photoshop. I bet there's, you know, dozens and dozens of ways that you could make exactly what I'm making in Illustrator. There's probably also dozens and dozens of ways that I could be making this that are different in Photoshop than the way that I'm doing it right now, but I am so comfortable in Photoshop. Things that a lot of people might use Illustrator for, I use Photoshop for it because I just like it. It's my favorite Adobe app. It's been my bread and butter for many, many years. I'm super comfortable using it. So I chose it and I figured out a way to do it in Photoshop rather than jumping into a program I'm less comfortable with.
Yeah, I agree 100% with all that. Just, you know, if you know how to use an app and you can get the job done with an app, then by all means, go ahead and do it. You know, for me, I come from the video world, and I remember things that I should be doing in Photoshop. I was actually doing in After Effects because I know After Effects so well. You know, like masking things out with the pen tool, I just know how to drive that better than in Photoshop. You know, I do think some apps shine better at doing certain things better than others, and that's where it might make sense to jump onto the other one. But if you can get the job done in the app that you speak pretty fluent with, then go for it.
Yeah, for sure. Right here, I'm going to illustrate some little like nicks and cuts and scrapes in the edge of this. Like I'm just going to put like some little tiny details, and I'm going to try not to focus too much on it because I do want to get into the other couple of things that we're going to do today, but I want to make this a little bit gritty. I'm going to hit it with some blend modes just to kind of make the, because one thing that my Wayfinder does not have that the movie Wayfinder has is it has other colors than just like green and silver on it. There's a lot of like varying hues of green, and there's even some like murky red and stuff in there, and I do want to give it like that little extra bit of detail. So we're gonna test that out pretty soon. But for now, I'm just going to give it these weird little details, just kind of using values to suggest, like give it the illusion that there's like little pieces cut out of the metal. That makes sense.
Yeah, it looks good. The imperfections give it more authenticity.
Yeah, just look like it's
weathered.
Yeah,
it's seen some stuff.
Been through some heck.
Anthony saying, sketching my first Star Wars character, the clothing in the universe is very interesting. Light and dark side. I agree. Very good costume design. What is it, Anthony? What are you sketching?
Yeah, the dark side. People ask me a lot. How come you only like the bad guys? The bad guys are just cooler. They're just way cooler. And they're way better dressed. Way better dressed. If I have to choose to like live with superpowers in space, I'm not going to choose to wear a terry cloth bathrobe and walk around in the desert the whole time. That's not what I'm. That's not what I'm.
Bathroom in the desert, smart.
I'm not going to be
black in the desert.
Listen, Darth Maul looked cool though, didn't he? When he got out of that ship and he was like, "Yo, what's up?" And he pulled his hood down, and I was like, "Who is this man? What's this?" He looks awesome. You know, sometimes we suffer for fashion. Okay. But
there's a quote right there, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
Sometimes we suffer for fashion.
We do, and Darth Maul looked awesome that whole time. I'm sure he wanted to get home and get a nice glass of ice water. But he sure looked excellent. And it was
he's like chugging the water, and he's probably like, "Did I look good? All right, cool.
Did I look great? All right,
that's all that matters."
Excellent. Yes, the bad guys in Star Wars are way better dressed. They're so much cooler. I don't even think I like the smugglers outfits more than I like the Sith stuff. It's just cool. It's just super cool. And as an artist and illustrator, I find that like I look at those outfits and I just want to paint them. I just want to design something like them. You know, it's just really neat, very inspiring to me. So yeah, I choose the big, scary, planetary, destroying bad guys because their hats are cool.
Their hats are cool.
That's what I just said.
I'm like Galactus. Some cool comments from the chat. Mervin is saying, Val, you've always been an inspiration with your work.
Aww,
very nice.
Thank you.
And then Odari says, next year I know to take off work for this. Yeah, I think someone earlier in the chat said everybody should have May the 4th off, and I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Nice. All right, I think I'm gonna leave that. I'm just gonna like do a little bit of like a point here, just so there's like a kind of a design to show this point, like it's engraved. And then I think I'm gonna do the blending modes, and then we're gonna get into the other designs because I don't want to. I want to at least, if I don't finish everything, like all of the illustrations, we do have tomorrow, but if I don't finish all of the illustrations today, I at least want to kind of dive into all three of them, just so we can look at all the cool stuff I have planned. So I'll leave that like design wise. That's good. And then
it looks great.
Let's hit it with some blending modes just to give it some extra color. Let's group that. I'm gonna change this background to like a dark color because I want to make this glowy. I'm gonna grab my handy dandy soft round brush in the sea of ridiculous brushes that I have here. Turn that to dissolve. I'll grab some black, and I'm just gonna. Also, so I just tried to use the bracket keys to make my brush smaller and larger, and it was not working, and it was because I had the little thing selected here. Like you can see, I just selected dissolve, and there's a subtle blue outline there, so I couldn't use any of my other hotkeys. So if you're ever trying to use a hotkey and you don't know why it's not working, check to make sure that this brush mode isn't highlighted, that your blending mode over here isn't highlighted. Those are typically the things that trip me up, where I'm like, why is it broken?
Good to know.
And
you
it's
just need to click out then?
Yeah,
it works?
Exactly. Cool. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of dark atmosphere there. And I might add a little bit in the corner, and then I will maybe some green, like some very subtle green.
It's looking great.
Yeah, just
that backdrop's really adding a lot to it.
Yeah, just kind of give it a little bit of atmosphere. And
yeah,
then
I agree.
The blending modes I promised. So we'll convert this to smart object now. So that's a smart object. Smart. He's smart. Wicked smart.
Smart.
So we'll do that. Then I will make this a clipping mask, create clipping mask, and I'm just gonna paint bucket in like a weird color, like just a strange color, and I'm gonna flip through my blending modes and see if I find something that I sort of like. And also I'm using the arrow keys, by the way, because I have this. Remember I said that this highlights and selects. I left it selected, and I'm using the up and down arrow keys. Are
you holding shift with the up and down arrow keys, or just up and down arrow keys?
Just the up and down arrow keys.
Okay, cool.
It's not really interacting the way I want, but I did choose a weird color, if you remember. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have this, I'll leave it on overlay. I'm going to Control or Command U and open my hue and saturation, and I'm just going to do some weird wigglies here. I might bring it into like this super bright strangeness, like right there. And then I'm going to mask it, and I am going to come in with my brush, like a sharp brush, and I'm going to remove some portions of it. And this is, you know, there's a lot more accurate ways to kind of do some of this, but this is the easiest way for me, is just to remove parts of this stuff in this way with my masks. And I did it kind of harshly, and then I'll come back with my soft round brush and kind of blend it out. Just so that there's like a brightness kind of shining, and it doesn't really look super green, but we're going to add another layer. So now we have like this strange, like poisonous green color coming through there. We'll make another layer and do kind of the same thing. We'll put that on a clipping mask. I'm actually not going to paint bucket. I'm going to use my brush, and I'm going to come in with like a weird bluish color, maybe kind of like something like that. We'll get like a dark color. We'll throw that on overlay for now. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to paint this. It's a little saturated, but I'm going to just blot on just to change this color of the actual like outlined portion. And I will, does that look good on overlay? It kind of interacts oddly, but maybe that's soft light. All right,
I like soft light.
Yeah. And then I might do more of that like dark bluish, because it just makes it look like it's not like gray anymore, and it has like a nice tint to it. And I could come in and overlay like some other textury things, but I think that this is good for now. The last thing that we could do to it is grab our soft round brush again and maybe grab some of this color and make it brighter, and then just kind of add a little bit of this glow, so it's like it really breaks the borders of the item, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like shining out, and I think that looks pretty cool. So there's our wayfinder, and I might, you know, kind of touch that up a little bit before we make something with it tomorrow, but I think this is good. I think that looks pretty legit.
I think all these little subtle adjustments you made with the background and the shading really definitely made it. Added a lot of depth.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun doing it.
About an hour, she just knocked this out. Very, very cool. Speaking of time, we do have about an hour left. It's a little time check.
Wayfinder. I have one thing that I do all the time is I make a group and I title it that object or whatever I just painted, and then I'll add another layer because I'm like, ooh, I should add something else to this. So I'll make a layer above that group, and then I'll, you know, add something, and then I'll just group it again and call it Wayfinder again. So there's probably like three. Look, Wayfinder. There's probably another Wayfinder down here somewhere where I just keep naming the group Wayfinder over and over again. Wayfinder it's very
1,
confusing.
Wayfinder V1, V2.
Yep. Copy. I swear
copy,
this is
Wayfinder
the last copy.
V3 final.
Yeah.
I love how that's like an ongoing joke in our streams.
Yes, 100%.
It's a meme for sure.
Super, super relatable. I feel like we've all been there. Okay, so now we have, let me flip. Oh, you know what? I want to flip my canvas because I just realized when I turned on the Pro Droid, my Viper Pro Droid words were reversed. Let's look at the Wayfinder and oh, it still looks good. When I flipped it, it still looks nice. Legit. Yeah, I just wanted to preview that and make sure it still looked neat in the other orientation. So now we're gonna do Viper Pro Droid, and I have like a more solid sketch for this one, and this is literally just ovals, lines, and circles. So what I'm gonna do is I could use shapes. I don't think I'm gonna use shapes for the main portion of the body though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab like a hard round brush because we're going to do a Viper Probe Droid poster for tomorrow that is going to be, I wanted to make it funny, so I put like a note to myself here because the Viper Probe Droid has like these little like grabby hands, so like in the diagram that looks super serious, it's going to say stuff like grabby hand, blinky light, like just funny stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, so I'm just going to grab, oh, that's painting with white. I want to be painting with white. I'm going to grab like a bluish gray, and I'm going to go through here and I'm just going to draw in these shapes, and kind of the same approach as we did with the Wayfinder is I'm going to make these shapes and I'm going to paint them, but this is going to be a little bit different in that the pieces are much smaller, and we're going to incorporate the shape tool just a little bit to be some, you know, precise in some places. So I'm just going to draw a little bit of this, outline it, trying to speed through it without rushing, you know, just so we kind of get to everything today. But in the meantime, how's everybody doing? What's everybody working on? What are you guys up to?
Let us know. I do have a trivia question I wanted to ask now that we've brought the Viper Droid, but let us know in the chat for all my Star Wars fans. When is the first time you saw a Viper Droid in the movies?
Hey.
Or the expanded universe?
Are we talking, so I'm gonna be a major nerd here.
Yeah.
Are we talking the first time it appears in the films in like progression, or are we talking about the first time it appears in the order that the movies actually released?
In the order that the movies were actually released.
Okay. All right.
So I have a movie in mind. I'll be curious to know if I'm wrong, because Val, you might know more than me.
I'm pretty sure I remember the first time you see it, but yeah, I could be wrong though, because
I could be wrong too. But yeah, I'll be curious to know if we have the same answer in mind. But I'll give it a couple of minutes, see if anybody in the chat knows. If not, we'll say our answer at the same time.
Okay. Because I think I know, but when I watch Star Wars, I'm not like waiting for the probe droid. I'm like, oh yeah, he's here, you know. So I could have missed it at an earlier time, but I'm pretty sure I know.
All right, looking at the chat, Brendan, who is the AP teacher, is saying, love the stipple texture on the Wayfinder. I push my students to explore texture in their work, but they are scared and stick to airbrush mode.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. That's how I was for a long time. But I think that if I could offer your students a word of advice, when you go forth into the world and you start taking design jobs and everything, you might get lucky and get really well known for a very particular style and level of texture in your work, and people will only come to you for your style and your thing that you're doing. But chances are what you're going to have to do is what most of us do, and that is you have a style and you have a particular way that you do your work, but over the course of a creative career, especially when you're building that career, you've got to fill your Batman utility belt full of a bunch of different skills and a bunch of different techniques, and you're going to get clients that ask you for things that you don't really like to do. And especially if you're going like career with this, you got to take jobs and you got to pay the bills, you know? So if you're terrified of texture, I think that you are only doing yourself a disservice by not just diving into it and getting it over with, even if you still don't like it after you practice and learn how to use more texture in your work. Because If you don't, you're still going to encounter someone in the future who's going to ask you for it. You know, there's so many people out there who will eventually cross paths with you and ask you to do an art job, and you're not going to escape through your entire career with somebody not asking you for texture in a piece, whether you're doing graphic design or whatever it is you're doing. It's going to happen, and the longer you put it off, the more difficult it's going to be to realize that you've got to take this job and you've got to do the job that's before you, and you have very little experience doing it. And on a lighter note, though, when you use texture, it's really not as bad as you think it's going to be. I used to not use texture ever. I was like, I just want to see something clean. I want it to be smooth. And when I finally was just like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it, I realized that painting with texture or designing with texture, illustrating with texture is exactly the same as not doing it. You just kind of learn a slightly different technique for applying it. And if I could be a little philosophical, you just learn to appreciate its differences to a cleaner design. And it's really not very different at all. So
well said, my friend.
Do that, because then otherwise you'll end up like me, where I was like, I don't paint hands on my characters because that's my style, because I didn't want to paint hands. It's my style to draw all of my characters with their pockets in their hands or behind their back. That's my style. And then a client was like, hey, I have a job for you and you really need this job because you have to pay your rent. And I'm like, okay, yay, that's great. What do you want me to do? I want you to paint hands for me. I've been not painting hands for 7 years. So what do? I had to expedite the learning of how to paint hands so that I could take the job that I really needed to take. And I regretted putting it off for so many years.
That's a great way to learn, honestly, when you have that fire lit under your behind.
Yes.
I've had to do that before. It's like, hey, do motion graphics. I'm like, hey, I don't know how to do motion graphics, but I need money.
Yeah.
So just go through the weeds and do it.
All right, going back to... Oh, go for it.
Yeah, going back to our question about the Viper droid. I did see some correct answers, which I think is right, but I'm curious to know if you and I, Val, have the same answer in mind. So on 3, let's say the movie that we think it is. Ready?
Okay.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I think in Hoth you see it for the first time.
Wait,
right?
Hold on. Let me look, because I could be wrong. It could have been the different scary hovering droid.
Yeah, that hovering droid, I think, is not what I had in mind.
When
I know
Leia's
what
in the cell
with Leia,
at the beginning, is it the circular one and not the Viper droid?
I think that's a new. I think the one you're drawing is Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, you're right then, because it is very Empire. But I couldn't remember if it was Empire Strikes Back or if this was the same one that came into the cell when Leia was like, I'm not giving you what I want. And he was like, aren't you my daughter? I mean, that whole movie, I was just like watching it again, like because I rewatched it. Oh no, you're right. You're 100% right. I was
out Star Wars Val. Who would have known?
He did. It happens sometimes.
That's possible.
It happens sometimes. But I was rewatching that movie like with the context of like seeing all of Star Wars now, and it is so funny. It's a serious movie. I get very emotional when I watch it. I get choked up, but it's also hilarious to watch because the whole movie is, number one, Luke is whining the whole time. He's upset. You told me I could hang out with my friends this year.
Yeah, it's like we're supposed to go do something, and he's so whiny. When I reached out with my partner, I literally bursted out laughing when he said that. I'm like, you're so angsty.
Yeah, and he's totally not even. Luke. The thing is, it's not even like okay, this young guy, he's coming into his own, and he just wants these certain things. He is whining like a baby, though. Like he's just really not, funny. And then you have like Vader running around, and he's very robotic, obviously, because he's got no arms and legs. And I didn't know that, when I watched it for the first time. But now I've seen all the prequels and everything. So he's got no arms and legs. And he's very, mechanical, and he just walks into every room he goes into, and he's like, I'm Vader, do what I tell you. And everyone's like, I've seen you choke people to death for disagreeing with you, but I shall disagree still. And then Obi-Wan is like, yo, what are you doing running around in the desert? And Luke's like, I'm looking for some guy named Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan's like, I haven't heard that name since I cut Darth Vader's legs off and left him in a volcano. That's crazy. It's been a while. It's just all very, like, it's funny in hindsight. The whole film.
It is.
It's hilarious. It's just great. But yeah, you should watch it. Like, you could watch it like a serious movie, and you could watch it like a comedy, and it's enjoyable either way. It's really great.
They're saying the one from A New Hope is a probe droid.
Yeah, it's
so
still,
that's what it's called.
So this is the Viper probe droid. They're both probe droids. Because if you look up Viper probe droid, you get this one. So I mean, I just did like my pushes up black. Excuse me, actually, this is the Viper probe droid. Actually, canonically in the. Sorry.
I had to explain to my partner what canon meant, because she never heard of that before.
Oh, yeah. You know who's sick of hearing me explain what canon means? My mom.
Your mom. Actually, Mom.
Sick of it.
And my mom. Talking about Viper probe.
Yeah, the Viper probe droid. Thanks, Mom. My mom trolls me. She trolls me. You've met my mom, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Yeah, I think she came to the studio back in the days when we used to stream live in a studio. So my mother trolls me all the time, because my mom, she cares that I do art. She cares that I do good Star Wars art, but as far as Star Wars actually, does not care. Does not care at all. Does not care about lightsabers, does not care about any of that stuff. And she cares less when I'm like, Mom, so this new show came out about Star Wars, and like, it's really crazy because new stuff is coming into camp. Like, I start talking about it because I'm excited, and my mom's like, no more. No. Sometimes she trolls me and she fakes me out, and she has this expression on her face like she's really interested in what I'm saying about Star Wars. I'm like, oh my God, I'm having the moment with my mom where we finally come together about Star Wars. And she's like, wow, baby, that's really interesting. So remind me again, which movie? So in this movie, Kylo Ren does X, Y, and Z, but which movie is the one with Spock? Nice.
And got him. She gets me going. Every time.
I mean, she knows enough to troll, right? I mean, you gotta give your mom some credit. She knows the differences with these two universes enough to troll ya.
It breaks my heart, though. It hurts me physically.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I like your mom. Sad. I like her even more now.
My mom likes you a lot too. She asked me. So one thing that my mom does, so everybody in the chat knows, is when I see my mom, I talk to her about Adobe Live, and I talk to her about you guys. And if we've had a good stream and you guys were telling jokes and stuff, I'm like, yeah, today's stream was great. And sometimes I tell them about like the jokes Steve makes, or like great, hosting from Paco or whatever. Like, I tell her about my everyday work and all that good stuff. And she asks about you guys a lot. Yeah, she asks me how the team is doing. She asks me if anything interesting happened in chat. She asks me specifically about General Kenobi.
She asks about you all. General Kenobi, yes.
It's kind of an
Kenobi has
unforgettable
become a
name.
meme in our chat.
Yes, you are the resident, like a living meme in this community. And my mom has asked me on occasion, like, how's General Kenobi doing? So she likes you guys a lot.
General Kenobi, how does it make you feel that Val's mom knows about you? That's pretty
Nickname
cool.
Mama Val. We do call her
Mama Val.
Yeah, Mama Val. But yeah. So
cool. All right, where we are with this Viper probe droid.
So I'm like, I'm putting joints in. I am not going to, like, this is also Someone's going to push the glasses up at me and recite canon. I'm not going to make the arms on this super accurate. I'm just not going to, because that's a lot of work. I'm putting all of these little dots here. These are going to end up being joints, and I'm going to put some long lines, from joint to joint, and make some little grabby hands and do all kinds of stuff. And that's going to be good enough for me. I think that it's also, I just remembered a cool trick if you're doing stuff like this that you should do is I just pressed V on my keyboard to select my move tool, and if I hold Alt on my keyboard, I can just duplicate these as many times as I want and space them out. So if you are doing a lot of stuff with shapes like I'm doing right now, you don't have to actually Control J or right click your layer and duplicate it. You can just hold Alt while on the move tool and just drag them out of each other, which is great.
Nice. Yeah, I think that shortcut, what's the word I'm looking for? Transfers over to other apps too.
Yeah.
I know in After Effects it's the same thing. You can hit Alt on a shape and it'll do the same thing, and same thing with Premiere Pro. You do like Alt with clips and drag up, it duplicates. So it's cool how a lot of these shortcuts have overlap, so it's a little less intimidating picking up a new app, because there is a little bit of overlap within these apps and the way that the tools work.
Yeah. And it does, like, it's not always the same, because sometimes I try to do certain things in Illustrator if I'm using Illustrator and it's not.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there's a lot of similarities, and you can always route your own hotkeys too, folks.
That you can
always
make
edit.
it customizable.
So here I am making a little robot arm, and look how easy it is just to make something that looks like a robot arm. It's just
grabby
little grabby hands. Here goes a grabby hand. Are you ready? It's about to get very cool in here. It's about to get super awesome. I'm just gonna make a little baby grabby hand.
Oh,
wait.
There it is.
There it is.
Who says Val can't draw hands?
Yeah, look at that. That's a perfect hand. That is a perfect hand.
Literally perfect.
So, kids from the AP art class, if you practice drawing hands, you too can make a masterpiece like this.
There it is. Oh my goodness, screenshot that.
Yeah, I want this framed on my wall.
Oh my god. Noted.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's a little grabby hand. We're gonna do like a longer deal here. I swear I actually, like, when I put my mind to it, I can draw a real hand. That's not what my hands look like, I swear.
There it is. That's what she had to draw for that client.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, oh my goodness, it's perfect.
I'm gonna need you to draw grabby hands. That's all I'm looking for, is just grabby hands. And I was like, that's it? Just grabby hands? How am I gonna... but I made it happen. With the power of Star Wars and anime, I made it happen.
It happened.
Okay. I'm literally making this stuff up as I go. None of this. I'm kind of glancing over at my reference, but I'm just putting these weird little whatevers on this robot. And as you can see, depending on what kind of style you're going for, it really doesn't, I really don't think it matters sometimes. I think you can do what we were kind of talking yesterday, if anyone caught the, I hosted Jay Schuster yesterday, and we were talking about like little greebly bits and pieces. Sometimes you don't really have to have like the perfect details painted in. Sometimes you can just do little sketchy bits of stuff, and if it looks like it's supposed to be a thing, sometimes brains just fill it in as a thing, and that's it. Like, that's all, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just make it look like it's supposed to be a bunch of crazy stuff, and sometimes that's enough for people's brains to be like, that's the stuff she meant for it to look like.
That's the stuff I was thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly the stuff I was hoping it would be like.
Yeah, my brain understands the stuff.
There you go. That's all you need.
Cool.
Okay, so we have made a Viper Probe Droid. I feel like I need a little bit more, like the spidery legs. I need more of them. I'm gonna put another one back here. How much time do we have, Paco? Like, how are we doing on the time?
A little under an hour. I'd say about, let me do some math here, 40 minutes.
Okay, 40 minutes? Oh, we're
I believe
glorious.
So. Yeah, we got 40 minutes.
We're good. I'm gonna do some more legs. I'm thinking I'm like running out of time here. Because we are gonna do like a landscape.
A bit more like 30 with our wrap up and all that jazz we got to do at the end.
Okay.
So about half an hour, I'd say.
Cool beans. Let's do like a weird guy like this. Oops. I don't know if I like that, but we're gonna. Good enough. It's because it's basically just like this weird robot with all these like little spider arms that look really pointy and dangerous. It is a very dangerous robot, let me tell you.
Except for a little grabby hand. Someone mentioned that's a perfect hand for popcorn.
It is. That's what it's for.
Should we draw a little popcorn kernel on it?
We should definitely draw. We should draw. I am taking suggestions for strange little items that we can put.
Oh my goodness, chat! This is
hands.
it. Yeah. I love these parts of the stream. You all can literally influence this illustration. So let us know something that would make somewhat sense to have on this robot.
And then also things that don't make any sense.
Yeah, well, yeah. Let's go off the rails here.
Yeah.
Let us know what should be in these robots' little grabby hands. And Val is taking suggestions.
Serious items and troll items.
She does hold the magic pen, so she could either take it or she could say nah. But
yeah.
We'll read any suggestion. Let's see.
I am the master of this realm, but I will give you.
She is the master of the realm.
I will give you the consideration.
She's accepting.
Of me deciding.
Right. She's accepting suggestions so graciously of her.
Yes, but honestly, this is a Star Wars stream, and if we're gonna be deciding, like, if I want to put like a little popcorn or an ice cream cone in this probe droid's hand, I'm probably gonna end up taking your suggestions.
Oh, I love the fact that it could just hold like an ice cream cone in one hand and a popcorn kernel in the other.
Yeah,
like,
just hanging out. He's just floating around on Hoth. Like, this is great, man. This is not that bad. I don't know what they were talking about. It's not that cold. Okay, let me merge all the ellipses. I could be naming my layers here.
Phil.
That'd be good.
It's going crazy here. Tauntaun guts. I guess that's a reference to that. Yeah. This thing, all right, well, it went from being all nice with popcorn and ice cream to straight tauntaun goats.
The straight craziness. Yeah. I blame Luke Skywalker for that.
That's true. Luke. I guess they're already out there, huh?
Yeah. They're already out there.
Sam says a teacup and a Cruella de Vil style cigarette holder.
Yeah, like the little.
This probe is just smoking a cigarette.
The long ladyfinger like holder. Yes. All right.
A can of WD-40. A cat pan sifter, a chef knife. Oh, this is great.
I like the can of WD-40. That's killing me.
Yeah. It self-repairs.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to throw the eyes on here, and then I will go through all of the suggestions and decide which of you trolls is getting an item added.
Yeah. Yeah, Keita Jones in the chat. She's saying
Jones.
How to say what's up to VooDoo the Jedi.
What's
Kid, I haven't
up?
seen you in the chat in a while. Good to see you. It's been a minute.
I'm also really not making this super accurate, and I feel like I'm gonna post this on the internet, and somebody somewhere is gonna be like, actually, the probe droid doesn't have that many eyes.
Actually, a probe droid does not use a can of WD-40.
Sorry, man. You're right. My bad.
Actually, it only eats buttered popcorn, not caramel popcorn.
You're joking, but people do this about Star Wars. People
sure they do.
People don't play. I used to be one of them until I was like, you know what? I'm too old for this. I can't be getting mad.
This
can't be getting mad over canon content on the internet. I gotta calm down.
Yeah, I can't wait for that comment to actually exist. A probe droid eating popcorn is not canon. Wow. Really?
Just need for it to be real life. That's all I need is for it to be. I need that comment to be canon.
I need it, yes.
Is what I want.
I'm gonna screenshot it.
Okay, there is our Pro Droid face. We got to do some little greebly weirdness on this too. I feel like, you know what I feel like is I need to pull some of these limbs down. But let me merge. I'm gonna do a little bit of layer organization real quick. I'm gonna merge all of these, I think. What is this? That can go underneath here. I don't know why that's above. I'm gonna merge all of these ellipses. I'm just selecting them all in Control E. And I'm gonna call these eyes. So I know what that is. I'm gonna call this body. So I know what that is. That's that weird ellipse. Where's all the other ellipses? There they are. We're gonna bring this ellipse down here. We're gonna merge that. And is that all of them? No, that's not all of them. But we'll leave those. This is the, I'm just gonna call this middle because I'll know what that means. Is it's just like the middle bits in the background. If I can spell middle right, we'll get through this, folks. We'll do it. I'm gonna delete this. What is this? Oh, those are the other ellipses.
We have some more suggestions coming in.
All
Clever is recommending a little purse with daisy flowers. Very cute.
Okay. We could totally give
Wade,
him like in the grabby hand. Just
there's a little grabby hand. Just a little. Yes. Oh yes. My goodness. Yes.
100%. That's happening.
Wade is suggesting, can we get a BB-8 style sippy cup to wash down the popcorn? Hey, you gotta have something to wash down the popcorn.
I was actually thinking about putting, like, you know how people put stickers on like their laptops or their guitar case or whatever. I was thinking about like slapping some stickers on him because we can do whatever we want with this design. I was thinking about
very
putting a
fitting
sticker.
Yes.
On the side.
Let's do it. That's fitting to what Rob suggested. It could be a sticker instead of a tattoo, but they're suggesting he should have a tattoo that says "Mom was a dishwasher."
Yes. Or just great. Like one of the mom things, and then it has like a dishwasher in the heart with a thing. Well, I don't know if people would know that that's what that was, but we could put like a bumper sticker on him. Mom was a dishwasher. It is canon now.
A dishwasher.
It's canon now.
Oh, that's great.
I love it. You guys' ideas are great. We're gonna use so many of these, and they're gonna be glorious. Okay, I am gonna put another eyeball just back here. Just kind of off the side so that it kind of gives the illusion that there's other things like off the edge, like going around.
Oh, nice.
The head,
I like it.
You know, so just a little bit of depth, because this is like more of a graphical kind of approach to something like this, but I do want to kind of show that there is more stuff happening here. And I also want to, I'm gonna add another, maybe I won't, maybe I'll put that in later. I'm also kind of like talking to myself as I go along and like mentioning things I may or may not do and then not explaining myself. Because I do that. I'm like, maybe I'll do this, and then it dawns on me that I'm streaming and people might be listening to me and waiting for me to finish that idea and sentence.
Where's this all going?
Yeah.
I mean, this is Adobe Live though, right? We're seeing the true authenticity of design.
This is true. I talk to myself a lot.
Yeah, this is real design here, folks.
Okay.
Let's see. Gareth is suggesting a sticker saying, "I've been to the hottest place in the galaxy."
Hottest place.
Nice. It'd be cool if we have, you know how, like say paratroopers in World War II, every time they would go somewhere, they'd get a special badge.
Yeah.
So maybe they get like a Hoth badge saying they were there for the Battle of Hoth. That's pretty cool.
I love it. We could do some little sticker badges, or maybe like we could have like some little actual like welded badges like along the top here. That could be cool. I'm gonna come in now and I am going to do some designing here as far as like the little greebly like things, just kind of adding to the mechanical nature of the illustration, just to kind of throw some stuff in here, start making it look like a robot and not a floating pie with arms.
A floating pie with grabby arms.
Kind of a weird pie right now with really sharp, aggressive looking legs. But I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna throw just some little sketches around of light shadow. I'm gonna come in with a clipping mask later, and kind of add a little bit of the shadow. I'm going to use I'm really fond of using the soft round brush with the dissolve on it. And I never thought like that would be something that I would really enjoy, but it is so nice just to be able to do that. And I found that when I'm doing a stream or I'm working on a project, I need to send a concept to a client or something, and I need to like detail something quickly and accurately, but I'm doing like a tiny sketch with like simple shapes or something. It works as just like a nice little texture, so it doesn't look flat when I'm doing it. And it's also really enjoyable. Like it's very satisfying doing that illustration style with the noise brush shading. Like it's a good time.
Brush. I like the noise brush.
Yeah, the noise brush, exactly.
The noise
brush.
It
is a noise brush.
It creates noise.
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
There's
that did a lot, just adding that little line.
Yeah, just kind of make it look like it's got pieces, and then I'm gonna put another tiny one here, so it just has, just kind of give it that, like it would rotate, it's got little pieces. I'm also gonna do a little bit of this, and what I'm gonna do too is I'm gonna come in afterward and I'm gonna kind of alter the silhouette. So I have like these little breaks and stuff, so I'll come in later with the mask and kind of cut away like a little lip there so that it looks like it kind of dips in, just to add a little more something. I will be able to demonstrate that to you soon. Honestly, maybe we can do it if I just I mask just to show you an idea. I would come in after, so I put like this little lip on the top of the head, and then if I mask that out, see that?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So then it just looks like it's a piece that fits in, and it's really not a lot of work just to do that. But these tiny, teeny little detail techniques, they do kind of give this air that this is not a flat image of a robot. This is a mechanical item that has pieces that fit in together and, create a whatever this is, a probe droid, Viper probe droid, and all that good stuff. So this is not really like super even. I don't think it matters. I think the nature of our style with our illustration today is such that we don't really need to, we're doing hard surface design without having to be precise, which is my favorite thing. Because if I can get away with not having to be precise when it comes to robots and spaceships and stuff, I will take that opportunity. Because I'm also adding one thing that I thought would really kind of improve this is if I came around the edges here and added these little humps. And what I'm gonna do is, this is another, similar to cutting out these little pieces. So I just added like that little hump up here. And what I'm gonna do is if I make a new layer and turn that into a clipping mask, and I grab my handy dandy soft round brush and put that on dissolve. So I added this little hump right here. Where is my brush? I added that little hump right there. And the reason why I did that is because I want to make it look like this eyeball, or maybe it's a light or camera, is coming out of this head shape. So now I can come in and I can add...
Is that the noise brush?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can add this texture here, and then I'm also going to come in with a eraser brush, and I'm going to erase and make that kind of sharp there just to give it a lip. But I've added that lip there, so what it kind of does is it makes it look like there is some kind of protrusion on the droid itself that houses that eyeball, if that makes sense. You know, so it's not just the eyes, not just floating in space, like sort of on top of it. Like it is there, it comes out of a socket on the actual droid. And you can do that just with a simple little stroke, adding another little piece there to it and then shading it. And I can do the same thing over here. I added those little humps right there. And I will take this dark brush and I will kind of brush upward, and then I'll grab that light color and I will brush that away. And I am going to grab my eraser and I'll just kind of erase this and just put like a clear distinction between those two places there. And I will erase also from here just to kind of bring my lines back. And so it just kind of adds a little something. I could even turn that fill down a little bit so that it's not super crazy, but that's kind of how we'll eventually start really bringing out the details of this. That's how I like to illustrate. And you can see when I zoom out, I'm going to press F and go into this third view of Photoshop so we can just see the art. When I zoom out, it adds a tiny bit of depth over there. That wasn't really that difficult to do. I think the only really big obstacle illustrating this way and kind of rendering and bringing things into a 3D space in this way is being able to visualize it, right? You can take any flat object, and if you shade it just right, you can make it look like it's popping out, but you'll have trouble if you don't know how to visualize it coming into 3D space. This is something I struggle with every day, even now. And all you need to do is just practice it, learn how to do it, and then stay in practice. Just grab some shapes the way I practice this sort of thing. Like when I kind of fall out of practice or I feel like I'm not doing a good job, I literally do this. I will grab a shape, a circle, and I will drag out a circle, and I will, let me just rasterize this. And I will lock
What does that do, rasterizing?
So when you're working with a smart object, or in this case, like I'm working with a live shape, rasterizing it just turns it into a pixel layer so that I can paint on it, I can erase from it and all that kind of stuff. I can't do that with a live shape or a smart object unless I rasterize it. But I will do this. I will lock transparency. I will grab that brush. It's even more fun with the dissolve brush. And I will practice bringing a flat shape into 3D space by doing something like this. Just, imagining a light source, imagining that this is, in shadow over here, maybe grabbing a lighter color and bringing this lighter color here, and just practice. If you take something flat, can you make that flat thing appear as if it is no longer flat? And when you do that with simple shapes, and then you master how to do that with simple shapes, the more you do it, the more comfortable you become, and then the more you can do it with more intricate designs. So if you've been, practicing for days and days, weeks or weeks, bringing a sphere, transforming a circle into a sphere, once you get comfortable enough with doing that you don't feel like you have to struggle to do it, then maybe you try it with a different shape, something that's a little more detailed, and then you get more detailed and more detailed. But just do that little practice. Try some other shapes.
Awesome.
Try some squares, pyramids, whatever.
I was hoping our AP friend would chime in. Brandon says, love the dissolve brush suggestion, forcing my students to try it. And as you can see, I mean, that simple shape layer you did within the course of like a minute, 2 minutes, you gave it the illusion of 3D just by doing like 3 or 4 different colored brush strokes. So yeah, it always looks so cool in design, and it's so easy. I mean, now even I'm inspired. I'm like, shoot, I might try some of this when I'm doing some motion graphic design now.
Do it.
So, very cool. Thanks for taking the time to show us that. That was very not intimidating.
My pleasure. I think if I can, folks, I will try to teach you how to do a thing I struggled doing when I first started doing art in the easiest way possible. Because when I first started doing digital work, I made things so difficult for myself. Seriously, I was so hard on myself, and I made extra work for myself. And I fell into the trap, which I try to warn you folks away from all the time, is looking at the portfolios of people you admire and assuming they go from point A to point B, you know, and create that final product perfectly with no mistakes. I thought that like if I was making my mistakes in my workflow, that I was never going to be a professional, and I was doing everything the long way, the hard way. Work smart, not hard, folks. And if I can show you how to do something that I hated doing and struggled with at the beginning of my career in a manner which you can accomplish in like 4 or 5 minutes, I will do it to save you the trouble.
Love it. Anthony saying they have to go now. Thanks for bringing you into the fandom of Star Wars. I think that's a W here, Val. We got somebody to like Star Wars.
Wow.
So we'll take it. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for stopping in and hanging out. It's been a blast. How much time do I have left, by the way?
You have, wow, time flies when you're having fun. We got 15 minutes.
Okay. I don't think we're going to get to the landscape, but I mean, I've already like, let me I'm gonna group all of this stuff. I have done like a sketch of it so you can kind of see, so maybe we'll touch on that real quick. I'm gonna call this Viper Pro Droid, and hide that. And if I pull up, you can kind of see like I've kind of done a little bit of it. Let me put a background. I just realized I
love this, by the way. Background. I'm a sucker for like old school travel posters.
Yeah.
And I actually do that with my photography. It's kind of like a fun little project I started. So the fact that we're getting to do this in Star Wars, pretty cool.
I've had a lot of time, and I don't know if somebody has done this already, and it's possible, but I was trying to think of like, you know, it always says greetings from, and then the place, and then there's like a little tagline.
Double the sun, double the fun.
Yeah, double the sun, double the fun. Thought it would be cool. And then like these scribbles right here are gonna be like a herd of tauntauns, or not tauntauns, a herd of I have it in my notes. The bantha, yeah, like a little bantha herd.
Bantha herd.
That's just so there's be a big one that's kind of like overlapping the word, and then, you know, they kind of spread out into the distance over here, and I will have like moisture towers and like the little, you know, huts and homes and things, and the binary sunset, obviously, and so we'll do that. It's not, I'm showing you the sketch for it. It doesn't take too much to do, so I think what I might do is I might just save this one, and we'll do the illustration of the landscape at the beginning of the stream tomorrow, and then we'll get into the graphic design with all of the elements that we've illustrated today, because the beautiful thing about painting a landscape for one of these classic postcards is that like the core portions of this painting that would be difficult to do and be time consuming are covered up by the words, and you put something different in the text, right? So the hardest parts of the painting are going to be covered, and I just have to put like some texture, maybe some, you know, like the sun, and maybe some weird desert buzzards or something, you know, in the word. I could do that pretty quick. So I will not do this whole portion of the project without you, and then Martha Stewart you tomorrow. I'll do it on the stream.
Martha Stewart.
It's just like the best way to describe it, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, oh wait, and it's done.
Yeah. So you want to just mix this all up, put it in the pie tin,
and boom,
put it in with it, and then
here it is.
In 2 hours, this is what you'll have. Good luck.
That's great. Cool. I'm excited about the Tatooine one tomorrow. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So we'll do.
So we'll finish this one up within the next 12-ish minutes.
Yeah.
At least get to a good stopping point.
Yeah, just a good stopping point. I will definitely, we're gonna be revisiting everything tomorrow, so I'll definitely like clean some things up using the same techniques that I was, you know, creating it with today in between now and tomorrow, but we're going to pull it up because I'm just doing the illustrations for today. So tomorrow we'll take it and we'll start adding all of the ideas that you folks kind of put into the chat today, making our little poster diagram, and then we will do the Wayfinder is going to be like a Instagram post. You know how people have like a subject or point of interest that's like for sale, and then they have like all these big, you know, like your standard promo post. So I'm going to do like an Instagram sale post for the Wayfinder. And it's going to be like, Sith Wayfinder, you know, now on sale. And then in the corner it just says, he gonna find you. No, seriously, he actually will.
That's awesome.
So I think it's gonna be fun. So postcard,
I'm excited to see that.
Post.
Yeah, if you're not following Val on Instagram, friends, make sure you are, so you can see these designs and illustrations finalized. Because you're pretty good about posting final designs on your social, right? Usually Instagram.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll just leave it as sure. Well, okay, I guess let me rephrase that question. This one will be on Instagram, right?
Yes, this one will 100%.
If you want to see this one on Instagram, make sure you follow her.
And maybe I can explain myself. So, and this is, I feel like maybe people can relate to this. Sometimes I do stuff on stream and I feel like I didn't do a good enough job. And so I second guessed the quality of my work, and I don't always get around to actually posting it because I feel like I need to spend more time on it. Does anybody else feel like that? Like, I just in case 100%. You do, I want you to know that I feel that too. And sometimes that's why I don't post stuff after I stream it, because I'm like, oh, I need to put more time. It needs to be better. It has to be better. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I think we kind of set ourselves to a pretty high standard when it comes to unveiling things in our socials. Probably think like, oh, only the best of the best. And I, you know, some people do that. They don't really post unless it's like absolute top tier quality. Yeah. And I know other people that just want to post for the sake of posting. So, you know, you'll have some good stuff. You'll have some all right stuff in their eyes. But I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. But I 100% agree with what you're saying. I mean, you know, if you look at my Instagram, I don't have a lot of posts because I think I'm more in the camp where I'm like, it needs to be some of the best landscape or like time lapses I've done, right? And you know, and it's a double-edged sword because that can sometimes hinder you like actually posting stuff. And, you know, sometimes we can be a little too critical of our work when other people would be like, wow, this is amazing. So I get both sides of that story, and I definitely know what you're talking about, Val.
Yeah, I feel like that a lot. It happens to all of us. So if you feel nervous about posting stuff on social media because you don't think it's good enough, and then you start to feel bad about yourself because you're like, if I'm not confident in my work and I can't post it, maybe I'm not a professional. Surprise! I have been working as a full-time artist for many years, and I felt like that yesterday. So
yeah, I mean, that just means you're human and normal. Everybody feels that to a certain extent, I'd argue. Brandon saying, gotta go. Thanks, my class enjoyed watching today. Thanks for bringing your class to the stream, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you and your students, and I hope that you folks come in again sometime. Also,
yeah, we'll be here tomorrow.
If you visit again tomorrow and you're in class and you have questions, I would be happy to do any little demos and answer questions for your students. 100%.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Quick little demos helps people out. All right, I think I'm doing good on like the little greebly things. I think it's really starting to turn out. I assume we have like maybe 5 or so minutes now.
We got about 7 minutes ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I could probably like I am satisfied with this. It needs a tiny bit of love, but I am really happy with how it's coming along. I think it's not, you know, perfectly movie accurate, but it's accurate enough that you can look at it and you're like, I know what that is. And so I'll get into kind of just taking my dissolve brush, my noise brush, and just kind of like painting in some little pieces here just to make it like detailed, and then we'll make it a poster tomorrow. But let me see. I feel like I could probably stand to add some detail into the, let me grab this one. I feel like I could stand to add a little bit of detail underneath here. I think we have time. I think we have time for that.
Add those small little details.
Yeah, and just, you know, start.
Clever saying. It's a Star Wars grabby hand greebly thing.
Star Wars grabby hand greebly thing. That's exactly what it is.
Grabby hand greebly thing.
Yup. You know it. That's all we have here. That's
all we got here.
That's all I brought with
Jones? Me. Keita Jones, a longtime friend that we've seen in the chat. I haven't seen her in a while, but it's good to see her popping in.
Yeah, thanks for
joining us. She's like, what? You're hosting? I'm like, yeah, you actually get to see the person behind the little icon, so
yeah.
Hi.
It also feels weird. It like, I'm sure it feels weird for you, like the times that you host, because you're usually behind the scenes, and it feels really strange to me because I don't actually get to be the guest very often. You know, like I'm usually hosting somebody, or I'm doing the game shows or teaching the DCCs. But like, as you can see, like when we started out today, you were like, all right, we're live in 3, 2, 1. And I just like went on autopilot and went into host mode.
Yeah, Val's got like streamer mode. She just turns on and I was like, word? You got the hosting and the guessie? Let's do it. I'm just here for the Star Wars illustrations.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I was like, oh no, Val, what did you do? This Paco's job. Paco's supposed to be doing this.
I was like, I'll sit back. Let's do it. Val will do it all. I'll just run production. But no, it's good. It's good to be in front of the camera.
Hearing your voice, though,
yeah,
you know. Yeah. And if I'm streaming by myself, you're still in the call with me sometimes.
I'm still there.
Happen
yeah,
to be
yeah.
doing
I'm
the
behind
production.
the scenes.
So it was, yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, it's, you know, my team asked me to host quite a decent amount. Most of the time, I'm like, I'm running production. But I do like to get in front of the camera just to interact with you all in the community. You know, I've been working with this team for a couple of years now, and you know, half the reason I love this job is because of, you know, the community and everybody that's involved with these streams. So I do like to be on here and say what up and hang out with you all. So it's a good time.
You are high key an Adobe Live celebrity though. Like I feel like even before you started hosting, there's so many people that like knew who you were. And I remember the first time you hosted where, you know, everybody was like, hey, you know, tuning in, who's this? And we're like, that's Paco. And everyone's like, Paco? What? Like, because people knew you from, you know, being in chat. A lot of times the guests and the host would be like, also shout out to Paco behind the scenes, like,
yeah, and everybody's like,
all this
who's Paco?
Stuff. Who's Paco? He's the secret Adobe Live magician that makes all this possible, you know. So it was just funny that, you know, when you finally like were on the stream, people knew you. You are very much loved by the community.
Thank you. Right back at the community. I do want to say, I think half the reason I do go on live is because of the sweet memes that can come from it. So I don't know if you all know our very special EMEA Adobe producer, Tim Mobest. He's also, I'd say, an Adobe legend. He has this folder, and I'm not kidding you all, of just memes that he's captured over the years of most of the Adobe staff. So if you're tuning in, sometimes I'll sneak in those memes once in a while. You know, it could be like a Val with like Aaron Nay's hot memes. He's got like all these like little GIFs, grabs of just people like doing silly stuff in the studio, and we used to stream in the studio. So
anytime you see those pictures that come up at the end of the show, that is like the stuff from
that's hot memes.
He also has sound clips of us saying funny things that he will play to us in meetings, and sometimes people think that it's actually me saying things. And it's just a sound bite of me cracking a joke from like last year, and it's funny. He's a funny guy. He's got a lot of dirt on us. He's a funny guy.
I'm gonna have to play some now. Here's one. I don't know if you can see it, Val, but hot memes.
Hot memes. That was the first time I met
another one
Aaron.
of our Val. Back in the studio. That's so
God,
good.
That's in like 2016.
That was 2017 or 18.
Yeah, because that was before Adobe Live. I think that was when we did Was it? No, maybe it wasn't, because we were doing like Adobe
It would
stuff
have been
through
2018 because that was the
so it was
studio.
beginning of Adobe Live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's some other hot memes that Tim has made. Great, that's a 99U. There's back in the studio.
It.
Oh, that's really small.
Oh, it's
make
beautiful.
It a little bigger. Back in the studio days.
My favorite one that he's ever done. I don't know if you have it, but like, and I know that we're running out of time here, but
yeah, we've about
do you have the one where he put a record, like a DJ thing underneath you while you're like pointing?
DJ Pog.
Yeah, where's that? It's my favorite one.
Let me see if I can find that.
He like superimposed this really turntable into a GIF of Paco and he's just pointing at the camera. You found it?
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can sneak it in here.
Do it. It's my favorite one.
It's the best one. Like Tim did motion graphics on this. Like he did 3D tracking. It's honestly like pretty impressive.
And it just looks like you had
There we go. That's a 99U.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What are we gonna do? All right, well, we do got to wrap it up. We did kind of hijack the end there with hot memes, but that's okay.
Honestly, that's why
we love
we're
some
here.
Hot memes. That's why we're here for the hot memes.
The whole plan was just to make memes.
There you go. So thank you all for joining us. I had the pleasure of hosting VooDoo Val. This isn't the end of it. We're going to be live tomorrow again to finish up these illustrations, so please make sure you tune in. Stick around because we do have the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Julia Vaca, and after that we have Brady from Texture Labs with Andrew Hawkrattle doing some propaganda posters themed from Star Wars. It's actually very cool. So stick around for that, my friends. Valor and I are going to say goodbye for now, but we will be back tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
See you all later.
Thanks for joining us.